Step up and become a part of something truly extraordinary. Throughout history, there has always been a powerful and unwavering voice that rises against injustice. The NAACP has been at the forefront of this battle, challenging discriminatory laws and leading powerful protests. Now, in this pivotal moment, it is more important than ever to join forces with this community of changemakers who deeply understand the issues that matter to us all. The NAACP is ready to tackle a wide range of urgent concerns in a nonpartisan and collaborative manner, from social to political. Don't let this incredible opportunity slip through your fingers. Join us for a live podcast that will leave you enlightened and captivated as we engage in a thought-provoking discussion with the NAACP and our allies. Get ready for an experience that will not only inform and inspire, but empower you to make a meaningful difference in the world.
Tonight is going to be a fantastic evening. We will be discussing some important community issues. However, please keep in mind that the opinions shared may not represent the views of the entire National Association of the Advancement of Colored People, Naacp. We encourage you to spread this information to your friends and family and let them know we are ready for an engaging conversation. Please feel free to comment and share your opinions as we welcome your participation in the discussion.
Welcome to the Community Voice broadcast, brought to you by the Jacksonville branch NAACP. I am Hank Rogers, the first vice president of our local branch. Today, we're going to talk about a very serious topic that's facing our community and facing America, the homeless population, and the homeless population crisis and solutions to the problem. Today, we have joining us current Councilman Rahman Johnson of District 14. Councilman, thank you for being here.
Hank, it is always a pleasure to be with you, my friend. And when I'm with the NAACP, I am home. As a former state youth council president and a local youth council president, this is my organization too. So thanks for the invitation.
Our pleasure. Welcome home.
Thank you.
So, Councilman, tell us first a little bit about yourself. Are you local? Are you a native here of Jacksonville? Tell us a little bit about yourself for those who may not be familiar with you.
Born and raised in Jacksonville, I went to Ribault Senior, or Jean Ribault, as I'm told it must be called, senior high school, where I graduated with honors. I went on to Edward Waters University, where I have degrees in communications and political science. I went to get my master's at Seton Hall University, go Pirates, and I have degrees in strategic communications and global leadership. And I'm currently a PhD candidate at Jackson State University. So I'm really thankful for growing up here in Jacksonville, being the base that has catapulted me, what I believe, into a life of service. And I must say, the NAACP and the Urban League had a great deal to do with that. Leaders like Willie Frank Clayton Dennis, who I was up on for so long, and at the time, Ronnie Ferguson, and Richard Danford now, but all of the leadership of these organizations have gone into me and I believe prepared me for the space I'm in right now.
Councilman, tell us a little bit about District 14 for those who may not be familiar with the geographical area of District 14. Can you talk to us a little bit about the location of District 14 and what area you represent?
District 14 is on the west side. It is the southwesternmost part of Duval County. I believe the district is the largest and most diverse district in Duval County, arguably. And I tell you that because there's, there are trailer parks and there are $1 million homes. There's such a wide diversity of homes and people in the district. It starts, if you can think of it, bordering this way on 103rd Street, from 103rd Street down to the Clay County line. So everything south of 103rd Street. I also take and expand over east and west to the base. So NAS Jax is in the district, takes in Oakleaf, Oakleaf Plantation, Argyle Forest. All of those areas are in the district. So it's a pretty wide-ranging district. And the interesting part of it is, though, I think when you look at it, it's a district that is ripe for development, right? There's a lot of places in the district that have not been developed. And one of the reasons is because the infrastructure is not there. And I know we're going to be talking about the homeless problem today, But infrastructure is something that I'm really keen on because of the infrastructure improvements that are needed. And I must say, in my first 100 days in office, we do have a win.
You have reached the 100-day mark.
I've reached the 100-day mark.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And in that 100 days, I mean, I could go down a list of accomplishments, but right now the win that I'm most proud of is the fact that we were able to, our taxpayers in Duval County have been paying taxes with the Better Jacksonville plan since 1999 when it passed.
Correct.
23 years, and we still have not had Old Middleburg Road widened.
Okay.
Well, I was able to put in some legislation to do some work, maneuver, as we know it takes in this business. And let me tell you, shovels in the ground in January.
That's awesome news.
Could not be more proud.
Awesome news.
Yeah.
Let's dive, Councilman, into the topic of the day,
Sure.
and that's our homeless population.
Yeah.
And you brought up one of the areas in which you cover, which is the Argyle Forest area. Many years ago, or actually months ago, we heard about the homeless camps that were in that area. Can you kind of give us an idea of what has happened with that camp, bring us up to speed of what the city has done to eliminate that issue?
So I brought it up during the election as well, right? If you know Argyle well, right at the top of where near the Argyle sign on the other side, they had created a camp right there.
Correct.
Usually most of the homeless camps are in woods and further out, so you don't see them. But here, people are going into their homes and communities, and it causes danger. So my question to those people, one of the reasons or questions I asked was why? Like, why are you here? What can we do to help you? Number one, they felt as though, because I went and talked to them, they felt as though they wouldn't be harassed as much since they weren't in the downtown area, and there were more homeless downtown. But our goal is to be able to provide services so people can help those who want to be housed can find their way into being housed. And I think that's one of the key issues. If you remember, just a few weeks ago, the Jacksonville City Council had proposed what's called a J bill, and you worked in the legislature, so you understand how J bills work. And for those that don't, the J bill is an opportunity for the legislative delegation to take legislation from the City Council to the state legislature to get it passed. Well, in the state of Florida, there is only one county, and that's Miami-Dade County, that has a homeless tax. Right?
Correct. And that was presented by Councilman Peluso.
Okay, presented by Councilman Peluso, right? And so I signed on as a co-sponsor of the bill, and or co-introducer rather. So we introduced this bill to council. Everybody thought it was a tax, and the J bill wasn't a tax. It was simply the ability to tax those food and beverage establishments, as well as, and not just regular food and beverage establishments, you had to be making in excess of $400,000 a year to even have the half-cent tax put on, okay? Right. But it wasn't a tax, I must stress that. It was the opportunity for the state legislature to say that your town or your city can implement the tax.
So getting permission from the state to do
You got
this.
to. Gotcha. That's just the way the law works, right? So we put this legislation in. I can't tell you how many people came up and they were against the legislation because they were like, we don't need another tax. What people didn't understand is that if we had adopted this resolution for the J bill for the Jacksonville City Council, it would then go to the legislative delegation. They would debate it, and then it would then have to get adopted by them to go to the House and the Senate. The House and the Senate would have to both debate it on both sides, reconcile it. It would then have to come back to the City Council, and then you would need a majority of the council to vote for it in order to enact the tax. All of those things would be a decade or more in happening. Correct. We know, and let's not talk about the fact that the governor's pen could veto the tax if that's something that the governor's office thought was not something that the state needed. Correct. So my thing was, let's vote for this J bill as a symbolic gesture to show that we are serious in Jacksonville about the homeless issue.
And what has happened with that?
It's dead. It's dead. It was withdrawn from committee. Symbols matter. Let me tell you this: it's dead, but sometimes you have to die with a purpose.
Gotcha.
Right. And I know I come from a tradition of hearing preachers preach, and they come with those little quips, and I can say it died with a purpose. Yeah. Because of the J bill giving its life, it can come back because it was withdrawn. But get this. We created a homeless trust fund with $500,000 from the mayor's office, $500,000 from city council, and it's now a fund to keep the people who are in danger of being unhoused, to get them the funds they need to keep their houses and to make sure it's called the Homeless Trust Fund, but it's to keep them from being homeless.
So, Councilman,
So we won.
You did win.
That's $1 million that was not there
Got it.
before we debated this bill.
So
we won.
Councilman, one of the issues that have come up recently, we have around 147,000 people on the waiting list for affordable housing. How are we tackling that issue here in Jacksonville? What initiatives are you bringing forward to ensure that those numbers come down and those who are on the waiting list have an opportunity to get affordable housing?
So it's not just about building more units. I think people think it's like you got to build more units, but it's about maximizing and optimizing the space in the units that we have. Mixed use development, I think that's important. We're talking about that. I happen to sit on the Land Use and Zoning Committee. And so a lot of the work that we're doing talks about bringing in the new developments, what that looks like. If I knew the answer to that, I wouldn't be sitting here. I would be sitting in an ivory tower making sure that everybody had a house and our number would be at 0. But we're working together. We're pulling in organizations and companies like JWB, like Dreamfinders Homes, like the Builders Association, the Realtors Association. I've gone to these different organizations to say, what can we do? So there's solutions that we're looking at. Part of the thing, though, being on the West Side, and there's such a great amount of space, is looking to, as we develop, because developers want to develop. That's their job. But we want to make sure that that the development is, number one, managed, but number two, that everybody has a shot of getting in the space that they want to get.
So let's dive a little bit into that topic, right? There on the West Side, newly created tiny houses. So want your thoughts, if you will, on tiny houses. And then there's a conversation, as you are well aware, especially downtown, where containers. And so can you talk about that?
I brought it up.
How that benefits Jacksonville.
I brought it up. Tiny houses and boxcar communities. I've seen them work in LA. I've seen them work in Cleveland, a few other markets. Tiny houses. Everybody doesn't want a 5,000 square foot house, right? People are saying, hey, I know when my mother, as she got older, she got a house that was the house that I live in now was my mom's, and it was her retirement home. I stayed there. I went to take care of her when she was ill, but it was a lot more manageable for her to take care of, and so I understand the need and want to be able to downsize. Maybe later in life, or if your kids are gone or what have you. Also, there are people who are single who are like, I don't need that much house. And so I think it's a great solution for affordable housing. The boxcar communities, it's also sustainable for the environment when you look at those boxcars, because these are these huge behemoths that they're using for trains and transportation of things. If we can get them outfitted properly, right, and put together, it's a great solution for us. So while they are innovations that are still being vetted, as you see on the West Side there, I was just talking to a developer or an individual contractor of tiny homes. It's something that is even an opportunity for people who want to go into business to create those things. The other thing I think that we don't think about much or talk about that we should is modular homes. If you have the land, modular homes allow you, the home is assembled and built off-site. They ship your house to you in parts, and you kind of put it together like a puzzle, right? So some people, you can even start in buying the land. I remember my grandmother's sister. She lived in Lottie, Florida. And the way she built her house, she didn't, back then when she built her home, they didn't have such things as mortgages for Black folk, especially in that area. She built it brick by brick. And every time she got a little money, she bought another brick, took it over there and put it together, those old stonemason bricks. And my Aunt Alberta built that house that stood the test of time. We may not have to build it brick by brick now, but we can build it piece by piece by buying the property and bringing in these modular homes and coming up with an idea and an opportunity so that everybody can have a piece of the American dream.
So we have several organizations locally who have really tried to tackle this issue with our homeless population. One comes to mind is the Schoesbacher, I Am Schoesbacher, which you are very familiar with, Councilman. And they have an apartment unit for women and children off of Pearl and 44. Many years ago, they brought the argument to City Council to do something for our men do you know where we stand with that at this current time, and what other organizations are doing in the city to eliminate, if you will, the homeless population here?
I don't know where that stands. I have to say I've only been here 100 days on the council, and I do have meetings coming up. I know with United Way, with the Schulzbacher, with City Rescue Mission, and some of the other providers. So I think we're working it out. I know this week alone I met with Councilman Arias, who is a restaurant owner and was one of my biggest oppositions in the J bill, but he has come out to be one of the biggest supporters of doing something about the homeless community. He and Councilman Joe Carlucci, myself and Councilman Peluso, affectionately called the Rat Pack because we're the new guys on the block. But we've kind of come together, and we had a public meeting this week, and Councilman Carlucci has some real, like a public trust, land trust, and has some just amazing ideas. And so we're working through it now. I don't have a solution, but we are noticing all these public meetings, and it's the sausage making process, for lack of a better term, but it's coming together. And one of the things I will say, Dr. Soretta Williams, who works with us at the City Council, this is the beauty of being in this space. It's the ideas. I don't have all the ideas. I don't profess to say that I have all the ideas, but I do have the passion to make the ideas come to light. Wow. And Dr. Williams and I were talking about, obviously working at City Hall, we see the homeless population regularly and interface with them. And she's saying we need something at least for them to be able to take a bath. So we're looking at, so men and women, but obviously there's more of a need for men because there's more men homeless or unhoused than there are women. But we were looking at maybe converting a bus that can go to different areas of the city, and maybe people can just come in and take a bath and have a moment. So I'm looking to see if we can get some decommissioned buses and make that dream a reality, and get people who want housing with the social workers and the other people that can help them find the path to get their housing needs.
Under, and you're probably aware of this, Councilman, but under a previous mayor,
which one?
Mayor Brown. Under Mayor Alvin Brown, sure. There was an initiative with our homeless population where they had a building, if you will, dedicated for them to go and refreshen up, if you will, yes. And look for jobs and things of that nature. What new initiatives in your 100 days have you seen that could benefit the homeless population?
Well, it's the dollars right now. It's putting those dollars in place. One of the things that I'm most passionate about, Hank, is our public-private partnerships. Right? It can't be, the city can't fix all the problems.
Absolutely.
I know my first day in office, I went over to Old Middleburg Road to have a conversation, and they beat me up pretty bad. They beat me up bad, right? And it was my first day in office and my first public meeting. But
trial by fire.
It wasn't even fire. It was fire hose. It wasn't even the water, and it was fire coming out of a fire hose. But I will tell you, I took it. I stood in the middle of the room. I listened to the questions and the concerns of the constituents in my district, and I took it. And the next day, I got so many wonderful emails and calls and notes saying, "I'm sorry for beating you up. Thank you. Thank you." And what it was, I believe, and I spent the majority of my career as a journalist on TV and doing other stuff. And one of the things I heard this from Oprah, and it's so true. People really want to know just three things. Do you hear me? Do you see me? Does what I have to say matter? That's it. And if you can let people know that you hear them, see them, and what they have to say matters, it makes them feel better about themselves, right? I can't empower you, but I can inspire you to empower yourself. You are the only one that can empower you. And I think those initiatives that we see, for me, my job is to, when you come in the NAACP or the Urban League or the Sulzbacher Center or the City Rescue Mission, when those organizations come with ideas, it's my job and responsibility to be just as passionate about it as you are. So do I have specific initiatives that are focused on the homeless in the first 100 days? The one thing I can say is we got $1 million in a homeless trust fund that was not there come July 1st, that now exists. We just voted on this legislation. So that's number one. But two, we're supporting the organizations. The public service grants are about to come out. There's initiatives or dollars in there for homeless initiatives for those organizations to come up. Again, I think some people, not everybody, expects the city to do the work. And we are doing the work, but we have to work together. And that's the only way that we're going to move forward.
Councilman, one of the things that you brought up is partnerships.
Yes.
Recently, and if you can talk about this while we're together, recently you partnered with the Amish Star Foundation with a homeless initiative with students. Recently, a celebrity basketball game that you hosted.
Yes.
And recently...
They wouldn't let me play. I'm just like, you let Reggie Fullwood play, you let Terrence Freeman play. You just like, yeah, you take the microphone.
So recently...
What were y'all trying to say about that?
We understand your skills, right? But recently, you were there where you were not able to be there, if you will.
Yes.
Where they were able to present to the Duval County Public School Board
$62,000.
a check for $62,000 to benefit the 3,203 students who are currently homeless. What's your thoughts on that?
Oh my goodness!
And your thoughts on that event that took place?
Well, I'm still upset that you guys didn't let me. I'm coming next year and I'm playing. Okay, I've told Terrence Freeman that I'm going to be playing, and God bless Terrence. For those that don't know, my colleague Terrence Freeman, former city council president, is in treatment for prostate cancer right now, and he went public, and I'm glad he did because more black men
awareness.
Yes, it's so important. I'm not sure if you know, but my dad and my paternal and maternal grandfathers both died from prostate cancer. All my dad's brothers, save one, died from prostate cancer. So I've been getting checks since I was 30. And for Terrence to be public about this terrible health struggle, I believe this is just a test for a testimony. But Terrence was I bring him up because he was our celebrity coach this year, and they did a great job. In fact, Tyrone Clark Murray was out there. And she was amazing. But we raised money for the Amish Star Foundation with that basketball game over at Paxson School for the Advanced Studies. And the beauty of that game, though, was that the kids raised $62,000 of doing their thing, but they felt it was important that these unhoused kids deserve the opportunity, right? It was their responsibility to say that these kids should have the same opportunities that we do and shouldn't be thinking about where my next meal's coming from, where I'm going to sleep tonight. We want to do our part. And I'm blown away. I'll say one of your kids, Jordan, who I just fell in love with this kid because he wants to do, and I know his mom coincidentally, but he wants to be in the media and politics and broadcasting and all that. So he co-hosted the event with me on the mic, and he was brilliant. I could just sit back, and I was like, you do your thing, kiddo. But I will say he also came and was our first page. The city council, I'm excited to say, now that I'm there and I have a little bit of influence, we started the PAGE program back for young people.
Good.
And Jordan, and I can't think of the
So
other.
explain what the PAGE program is for those who are watching who may want their young person involved.
We'd love it. Feel free to reach out. You can find me at coj.net or at Rahman at coj.net, RAHMAN at coj.net. But what the PAGE program is, it allows kids, high school age kids, middle school age kids, to come and see how city council works. Mm-hmm. They get to come, they come look at the legislation, they work with us, they understand how a bill is passed. If we need certain things done while we're on the dais during council, they'll pass out information for us, and they really get a great working and understanding of how this thing works. Yeah, so your kids or the kids from the Amish Star Foundation were there, and I will say that, you know, the opportunity, sometimes it's just about planting the seed, right? And we can see that the seed is already germinating. Here are kids, these kids who were in the PAGE program, were a part of that group of kids who donated the $62,000. We've planted the seed for good work to continue. All we have to do is continue to water it. So now we see them doing that. No one told them. This wasn't a planned initiative. No one told them to go raise money for homeless kids. They wanted to do it. The kids that are in the PAGE program are now saying, we want other kids to have this experience and opportunity. So I look forward, as I say, I was in a meeting earlier this week with Leadership Jacksonville, They were interviewing council people about their districts. And I was saying about it, the thing that is so important to me. They said, what do you spend the most time doing? And that was a great question. And I usually when people say it's a great question, you're trying to find an answer. No, it really was a great question. And it was because the majority of my time is spent in succession planning. And when I say succession planning, I don't mean I need to control who the next person is that sits in District 14 or control who the next individual is that's on the Jacksonville City Council. I mean preparing a bench so that when there is an opportunity, we've got the continuity, right, of people who understand city government. Hank, I've been around for a while, so I have the luxury of really understanding city government, which is why I was able to get a few things done in my first 100 days.
So those who are watching us right now, Councilman, who are part of nonprofit organizations and looking at the work that's happening with city government, and they say, you know what, I have an initiative to solve the homeless population. What would you tell them, and how would you tell them to plug in?
Reach out to your council member. I would reach out to, I'll be more than happy to take it back. But I will tell you right now, the ones of us, and we've been having these meetings, public meetings, of course. Jimmy Peluso, who was the initial sponsor and introducer of the J-Bill, Councilman Raul Arias, Councilman Peluso, Councilman Arias, Councilman Joe Carlucci, and me. Reach out to us. We're easy to find, coj.net. If you have ideas or initiatives, send them to us. I urge you, even if it's not one of us, even if you live in Mandarin and Councilman Boylan is your council person, talk to your council people. Right now, I sit on a committee.
Because the homeless population is not segmented to one area.
It's not.
Issue all over Jacksonville.
Well, and here's the other part.
Correct?
And well, here's the other part of that. If it happens here, it's going to move there. It's like cancer. If you don't stop the cancer where it is, it will spread, which is why there's cancer treatment. We have the ability to stop the crisis. I don't want to be in Orlando. Or I look at the homeless situation in Orlando, and it is pretty out of control. I think we have an ability in Jacksonville, with the space that we have, with the resources that we have, and with the brain trust that we have, to keep us from being that kind of city, to put us on track to be a major city that has a unhoused population, an unhoused population that we can get moving into housing. And so I believe the numbers can go down even without the J-Bill tax.
And before we close, Councilman, talk a little bit about the homeless population as it relates to our veterans.
Yes.
And what's happening with our veteran population and how the city is really helping the veterans become housed. We also recognize, you as councilman, the mental illness and mental health piece of that. So talk to us a little bit about that and how, again, those who are working in those spaces can get involved.
So there's a Veterans Affairs office at the city of Jacksonville that anyone, especially if you have an issue or you know someone that's unhoused or having some issues, contact the Veterans Affairs office. 630-CITY is the number that you can reach us on, 904-630-CITY. But you can go to 630-CITY and they will connect you with the Veterans Affairs office. But the veteran population, obviously, as we know, is very, very important, especially when it comes to PTSD and suicide and other things, which is why we have such great programs and connections, right? There's the Fire Watch program. Claire White Mission does a phenomenal job with veterans. Dr. Richard Danford over at the Jacksonville Urban League is in the process of constructing a new veterans center over off, I think it's Myrtle Avenue.
Myrtle Avenue, absolutely.
So I'm working with Dr. Danford to hopefully be able to, and Doc, who's a Vietnam War veteran himself, but working to get these initiatives moved forward. I think the paradigm, while they did take a half-cent sales tax to do it in Miami, the paradigm comes from Miami. What you may or may not know is that they're at functional zero when it comes to veteran homelessness in Miami.
Wow.
And that's because of, number one, the dollars were there with this trust fund, but number two, it was because the brain trust was there as well to consistently say, we've got to focus on this issue and just put blocks in it and blocks in it. So over the past 30 years, since this tax has been collected and the work has been done, the homeless veteran population is at functional zero in Miami. Because there are people that choose to be unhoused.
Correct.
There was a gentleman that stood up at council a couple days ago that told me, he says, look, I choose to be unhoused, and here's why, right? So we have to take that into account. Even now, as I work on this committee to rework the jail and to create a new jail, I'm on that committee. Think about it. I kept hearing over and over when I toured the jail, this is the largest mental health facility in Northeast Florida. That's crazy. Yeah. That's not what the purpose of the jail is. So we need to make sure that we can get the people help who need help when it comes to financial assistance, but also when it comes to mental illness or any other mental issues, so that they're not just left out on the street, but they're getting the help that they need so our community can come together and really have a true, better Jacksonville.
In your 100 days, Councilman, you went through your first budget.
I did.
Cycle. So do you have any pet projects in that budget that you can talk to us a little bit about that could address the current issue that
I want you to see all of this. Do you see the gray? My beard was not as gray when this process started on July 1. I will tell you that. So I get it. I certainly understand. And if I had hair on top of my head, it would be great too. I won't call them pet projects, but I will say that I was able to. I know the Black Greek letter organizations they do such an amazing work in this community. We were able to get them for their youth development programming. All of the Greek letter organizations that have youth programming, they were all funded as a part of this budget, and that's something I did, and I was really excited to work with all of the D9. I'm a member of Kappa Alpha Psi. You're a member of Alpha Phi Alpha. Absolutely. We love our Greek letter organizations, and at the end of the day, it's all love because we know the work that they put in on a regular basis. So I'm excited about that. There obviously the Homeless Trust Fund that didn't exist. This is something brand new, and that's really exciting for me. I was able to get an appropriation for the Supervisor of Elections Office. Why, you ask, did I want an appropriation for them? I'd love to tell you. So one of the things, as you know, I'm pretty savvy and I work a lot with social media, right? I think it's a great way to not just broadcast, which goes one way, but to communicate back and forth. I was able to get these funds allocated so that we can do a better job of getting more people to the polls. And so we were able to get, I think it was $100,000 additionally. I think it's 80 or 100, but whatever it is, we've got those dollars set aside. I'll be working with Supervisor Holland to ensure that we are touching everybody to make sure that people are getting to the polls. And that was something I was, because we look at it and we look at the voter turnout and, we got 1 million people in the voter turnout. It's like 20%. Why is that? Because there is not only some people with their changing polling places and changing districts and all of those things, not only do they have apathy, they just don't know where to go. Absolutely. And so this is a way that we can do that. So those are a few of the projects. I think this week, I think I'm safe to announce it. As you know, Jean Ribaud Senior High School, where I did attend high school, is being reconstructed thanks to Dr. Diana Green and the work that she and people like you did in
with the half-cent sales tax.
With the half-cent sales tax. Right. We will have, in about 2 years, I think that time
2025.
Right? 2025, we'll have a new Jean Ribaud. However, the show must go on. And I was able to secure funding for the Chandra Cheeseboro track meet this year. So that's coming up. That was really just when that happened, I couldn't stop smiling. We were able to name, thanks to State Representative Kim Daniels, and now with legislation for the councilperson from that district, Jacoby Pittman, we are naming that bridge there by Ribaud, the Gwen Maxwell Bridge. Wow. For Coach Gwen Maxwell, who was a legendary track coach and just coach and friend and had the most beautiful eyes. But Coach Maxwell, we're naming that bridge for her. So we've had some great wins that I hope that those people that poured into me all those years ago, one of my coaches at Ribaud, Coach Charles Lee, and someone who's here with us, Erlene Lockett, and so many others. I pray that, and my mama, and my mom and my grandmama, my daddy, all of them up there. I pray that the work that I'm doing is a testament to the things that they put in me.
Absolutely. And lastly, Councilman, if someone wanted to know, and if you can educate us on, because we hear so much about HUD and Jacksonville Housing Authority, how does all that work with city government if our viewers wanted to be educated on that piece of it?
Well, if you go onto coj.net, and we're in the process of revamping the city website, which is going to be phenomenal. We have a dynamic Chief of Information Services that we just confirmed. And I'm really excited, Winyoni Kendrick, and she is fabulous. And you can just tell. But anyway, you can go to coj.net and just type in not hood, but HUD. If you type it in there at the search bar, it'll take you to how you can maneuver it. Obviously, there's a waiting list right now, but I'm excited with federal HUD and the Neighborhoods Department and Housing, which Joshua Hicks is leading up. The mayor appointed him to lead that, the housing portion of it, which is under the Neighborhoods Department. Josh is going to be working he's working now very closely with not only the administration, but HUD and the community organizations. And what you may or may not know, just a couple weeks ago, and so this is not just a local initiative with HUD, we need housing here. And so former Congresswoman and current HUD Secretary, Marsha Fudge, Auntie Marsha, as we know her, she helped us to put together something with Chantrell Brown and Dr. Alicia Scott Ford, and just the amazing local team of HUD put together the HUD House Party. And it was held at FSCJ downtown campus, and we partied, we line danced, and we got people mortgages.
Wow.
It was an opportunity for lenders, for people who had housing, all of those to come together, and I was present as I saw people get qualified for mortgages and could leave there and start looking for homes. And so and I bring that up to say, it's not just about the city. It's about state government and federal government and local government and community organizations
all working together.
That's why I'm so glad to see the NAACP doing the work that you do, and I could not say enough thank you, and whatever I can do as a member of the council, I got your back.
Thank you so much, Councilman, for being here. And Councilman, if someone wanted to reach out to you, and
I'm gonna give you all the numbers.
Okay.
I will give you all the numbers you can reach me. I'm gonna even give my cell phone number, and that's Lord have mercy. I'm gonna give my cell phone number on the broadcast. You can reach me in my office, obviously coj.net, the city website. You can also reach out to me, 904-255-5214. That's my office number directly, 904-255-5214. You can also reach out to me on my cell phone. Yes, my real cell phone, 904-613-6820. If you can't get me, send me a text, 904-613-6820. And my email address, rahman@coj.net. That's RAHMAN@coj.net. And I certainly look forward to hearing from you.
And Rahman, Councilman, if we can't reach you, we can reach your assistant, Willie Coleman.
At all those numbers, too, because he got access to them.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being here, Councilman. We enjoyed this conversation. And at this time, we want to remind you to join us on November the 1st for our 58th annual Freedom Fund Luncheon. Until then, we'll see you next time.
Our Freedom Fund is a critical component of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. It was established in 1944 as a financial resource to support the organization's mission of fighting for racial justice and equality. The fund was initially created to help cover the legal expenses of numerous landmark civil rights cases, including the groundbreaking Brown v. Board of Education Supreme Court case in 1954, which led to the desegregation of public schools in the United States. The National Association for the Advancement of Colored Peoples legal defense efforts were instrumental in challenging racial discrimination and segregation laws across various sectors. Over the years, the Freedom Fund has played a significant role in financing other pivotal civil rights initiatives, such as voter registration drives, community organizing, educational programs, and advocacy campaigns. It has provided financial support to individuals facing racial injustice, enabling them to access legal representation and fight for their rights in court. In essence, the Freedom Fund has been an essential tool for the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People to combat systemic racism and promote social change. It continues to be a vital resource in the ongoing struggle for racial equality and justice in the United States. the Jacksonville branch of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People will be having its Freedom Fund event, and we're asking the community to come out and support. If you haven't gotten your ticket yet, make sure to secure one and encourage others to attend. Supporting events like these helps provide the necessary resources for the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People to continue their vital work in combating systemic racism and promoting social change.
Tonight has been quite an interesting evening. We've discussed several important issues that concern our community in Jacksonville. We ask that you consider all the information we've shared as a perspective provided by commentators. No one has all the answers, but our goal is to dig deeper and find solutions. We invited the community to share their own views by emailing or calling us. We would love to hear from you. Have a fantastic night, and we hope to see you again next week. Please note that the information presented here represents the viewpoint of the guests and commentators and may not necessarily reflect the perspective of the local branch of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People.
Welcome to the Inspired Network mobile app. To get started, simply on your iPhone or iPad, open the App Store app. Then, touch the magnifying glass labeled Search Type, the Inspired Network in the search bar, and hit Return. Look for the app and tap the Get button to download it for free. Once the download is complete, open the app by double-clicking the side button. You can also tap the Open button after installation. To access the app in the future, simply tap the app's icon on your home screen and find the app's icon. Join us now on the Inspired Network and unlock a world of inspiration.
Are you in search of a sanctuary for your precious little ones? Look no further. At Harvest Time Christian Academy, we offer the ideal haven. Our passionate team, comprised of both devoted educators and compassionate caregivers, is well-versed in both biblical teachings and academic excellence. From the tiniest cherubs to curious toddlers, we are here to deeply enrich your child's life. Reach out to us today for further details. Rest assured, we provide flexible pricing options and a daycare experience that is imbued with nothing but warmth and affection. Together, let's create a nurturing environment for your little miracles to thrive.
Let the church say amen. K-Good Productions presents Gospel Fest 2023, featuring the Mighty Clouds of Joy. Saturday, November 18th at the Paxton Revival Center. Sing the Canton Spirituals. And the Swanee Quintet. Gospel Fest 2023, November 18th, 5 p.m. at the Paxton Revival Center, 5461 Commonwealth Avenue in Jacksonville. Tickets available at Eventbrite. For info, 904-813-0.
Hello, Queen. You know, someone once said life is 10% what happens to you and 90% of how you respond to it. Have you had some issues that you just maybe needed to discuss, or some things that you would want to share with someone but didn't have a place or a platform? The green room, the green room, the green room. The green room is that place where women come to share their ideas, their do's, their don'ts, their always, their nevers, their lessons learned. I'm inviting you to tune in every week to the green room. It's our place. The truth of the matter is, we all have greatness inside of us. You just need a little help to bring it out. It's me, Michelle G. Meet me in the green room.
Are you ready to kickstart your own online show? Have you always dreamed of broadcasting to the world on Facebook? Well, Inspired Television Networks has an exciting offer just for podcasters like you. Imagine having your show recorded in our state-of-the-art studios and broadcasted to over 50 million homes worldwide. And the best part? It's available at an unbelievably low price of just $350. This is truly a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. So, join the revolution and become a part of our network today. Don't wait. Give us a call now because we're actively seeking new programs.
They know how bad it can be out here, and they do nothing about it. They said they had cameras, but they never worked. They never said you wouldn't feel safe in your own apartment. If you or a loved one were assaulted at your apartment or a business, call the Daniels Law Firm at 904-432-1219. That's 904-432-1219.